the sirens went off about 6:30, and we went to the basement, and I had 6 children. My sister was there with her child. We had a neighbor boy and the dog. So there were 10 of us in the northwest corner. And a tornado came across, and we walked out even with the ground. It hit the back of Central Park School and came right across the street, took out every house on our block. Everyone wasn't down with the ground, but they were all destroyed beyond use. Well, we found a neighbor that let us sit in their house overnight till the next morning when we could try and do something.
It was a long night, sitting in the dark, waiting for people to come, and people came in and looted before we could even get back into the house the next morning. And the night was pretty scary because you could hear weird things the night after the tornado when we were crouched in somebody else's home waiting for dawn to see what had really happened. It was kind of scary. I think it took 12 seconds for them to flatten our house completely, because I remember starting to say a prayer, and when I repeated it back to myself later on, that's how long it took me to say as far as I got in my prayer. And you knew when the tornado was there. And I don't know how my brothers got down from the first floor, because they weren't there when the sound hit. And we had a landing. You came down a flight of steps, and then there was a landing, and you came down another flight of steps to get to the basement. And I think they must have jumped. I know the dog did, from the landing to the bottom, and came to the corner where we were. And it was the only corner in the house that wasn't completely covered with debris. I mean, we had rocks around our feet and stuff because we had a stone foundation. And
the boys had been downstairs, and they got tired of waiting. They said, "We're going upstairs and watch Charlie Brown." And that's when they heard it, and that's when they made the jump.
My Uncle Richard came to help us, and he found a dozen eggs that weren't broken in all of this rubble, and the people across the street had a china cabinet that was built in the wall, and all the china was fine, but everything else was not.
My husband was teaching at Alma, and the good people from Alma, headed by his principal, came over and had my lot almost cleaned. But it was the only one in the area that was. And then the Corps of Engineers came in. And they just pushed everything into Central Park and set it on fire. And I think it burned about a week. It took about a week to do that. So.